My name is Margaret Walsh. I'm 50 years old, and the email that ended my career arrived at 3:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. Not a meeting, not a call, not even the fake sympathy of a Zoom window where executives tilt their heads and pretend to feel bad. Just an email. Your services are no longer required effective immediately. Please return all company property by end of business day. HR will contact you regarding final compensation and termination of benefits. I read it 3 times before my hands started shaking. 18 years. That's how long I gave NextCore Solutions. 18 years of late nights, emergency fixes, product launches, held together by duct tape and caffeine. And they ended it with a template email that probably went out to half a dozen people that same afternoon. What makes it worse, what still makes my chest tighten when I think about it, is when the email arrived. I was sitting in my cubicle sleeves rolled up laptop open deep in a memory leak that had been crashing NextCore's payment processing system for 3 straight days, the kind of bug that makes junior developers panic and senior leadership start whispering about vendor alternatives. I'd been there since 6 in the morning, because Ethan Cole, our CEO, had promised a client demo by Friday, and when Ethan promised something, the engineering team paid the price. The irony, I'd already found the bug. 20 minutes before the email landed, I isolated it to a race condition in the async payment handler. Elegant fix 2. Mutex lock on the transaction queue retry mechanism with exponential backoff. Clean, efficient, reliable. Another hour to code, maybe 2 to test. I'd already drafted the commit message in my head. Then the email popped up. I stared at my screen, the bug solution still open my cursor, blinking patiently like it was waiting for me to finish what I'd started, like the system itself hadn't realized I'd just been erased. Security arrived 10 minutes later. Not to help, to watch. They stood there while I packed my desk into a cardboard box, my laptop cables a chipped coffee mug Dylan gave me last Christmas, like I might pocket a stapler if they weren't careful. Ethan didn't come down. None of the executives did. Just HR and an escort walking me out like I was dangerous. 18 years, gone in 20 minutes. I drove home in silence, my thoughts spiraling. Rent, savings, the job market for 50-year-old engineers, explaining to my ex-husband Daniel that alimony might be late. My 1-bedroom apartment felt smaller when I walked in at 4:30 p.m. Still $2,800 a month. Still unforgiving. I made a sandwich, ate it standing up, cracked open an energy drink even though it wasn't even 5. My phone buzzed. Dylan, Margaret, what happened? Ethan just sent an all-hands email saying streamlining operations. Everyone's freaking out. Are you okay? I stared at the screen longer than I should have. I'm fine, I typed. Just got restructured out. You'll be okay. Keep your head down. A pause. Dylan, this feels wrong. You built half this company. I swallowed. Doesn't matter who built it, I replied. Matters who signs the checks. He didn't respond after that. Smart kid. Later that night, my boyfriend Andrew came over. He didn't try to fix anything, just listened, held my hand while I talked, while I admitted out loud that I was scared. By Friday, I'd applied to 63 jobs. 17 rejections, 46 silences. Saturday morning, I scrolled LinkedIn, watching former colleagues celebrate milestones I'd helped build, and that's when I saw it. NextCore's $180 million acquisition stalled. I sat up straight. Then my phone buzzed again. Dylan, are you seeing this HR is running around? Ethan locked himself in his office. It's something about legacy platform code. Legacy platform code. My code. I went to my desk, dug through old files, and found a dusty, gray external hard drive from 2006. Back before NextCore got paranoid. Back when we kept local copies. I plugged it in, and that's when I remembered the patent. The one I filed quietly. The one no one at NextCore ever asked about. The one that changed everything. I stared at the document on my screen, my name at the top, and felt something shift inside me. They thought I was dead weight. They had no idea what they'd just lost. I sat there for a long time staring at the patent document on my laptop as if it might disappear if I blinked too hard. Patent No. 8, 532991. Adaptive load distribution in decentralized modular architectures. Inventor Margaret Walsh. Not NextCore, not Ethan, not the board. Me. I felt a strange mix of nausea and clarity, the kind that hits when you realize the ground under someone else's feet is about to collapse and you're the reason why. I hadn't thought about that patent in years. Almost 2 decades, really. I filed it back when NextCore was still small enough that everyone knew everyone's coffee order. Before security badges. Before lawyers sat in on sprint reviews. Before Ethan learned how to smile for investors while taking credit for work he barely understood. Back then, I was a contractor, freelance, working on my own laptop on my own time, trying to solve a scaling problem no one else wanted to touch. The system kept choking once usage crossed a few hundred users. Everyone assumed we'd figure it out later. I didn't like later. So I built the load distribution logic over a weekend sitting on my couch code sprawled across my personal machine. It worked beautifully. When NextCore exploded from a scrappy startup into a real company, that system became the backbone of everything. And an older engineer, someone who'd already survived 3 corporate implosions, had pulled me aside once. "File a patent," he said quietly. "Executives forget where things come from. Dates matter. Protect yourself." I listened, paid the fees myself, filed it. Then life moved on, and I forgot about it. Until now, my phone buzzed again. "Dylan, people are losing it here. Legal is in every meeting. Ethan's yelling at everyone. They're saying the acquisition lawyers flagged something major." I closed my eyes. "Don't say anything," I typed back. "Just document everything, and don't sign anything new." A pause. "Dylan, is this about you?" I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering. "I can't explain yet," I replied, "but I'm not trying to hurt the team." That was the truth. The only truth that mattered. By Monday morning, NextCore's silence shattered. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. "Miss Walsh," a man said. Voice clipped, professional, strained. "This is NextCore's general counsel. We need to speak with you urgently about a patent matter." "You can speak with my attorney," I said calmly. A beat. "I understand emotions are high after your termination, but this is separate." "I'm represented," I repeated. "Please contact her." I hung up. 10 minutes later, my attorney called me, laughing under her breath. "They're panicking," she said, "and they should be." Over the next 2 days, the pressure escalated. Emails, voicemails, thinly veiled threats about interference and obligation. Ethan tried next. He called Saturday morning, his number lighting up my phone like nothing had happened, like he hadn't erased me with a form letter. "Margaret," he said, slipping into that smooth tone he reserved for investors, "I want to apologize for how things ended. Business decisions, nothing personal." I didn't respond. "Listen," he continued quickly, "there's been a misunderstanding about some intellectual property, something about a legacy patent. We need to clear this up fast." "There's no misunderstanding," I said. "I own it." Silence. "That's not accurate," he said carefully. "You wrote that code while working for NextCore." "I wrote it on my personal laptop on my own time before I was a full-time employee. Check the dates." "This could destroy the merger," he snapped, dropping the act. "That sounds like your problem," I replied. He tried guilt next. 47 people could lose their jobs over this. My chest tightened, but my voice didn't waver. 47 people could lose their jobs because you tried to sell something you didn't own. I'm just the person who noticed. I hung up before he could answer. That night, Andrew sat beside me on the couch, quiet, steady. "You okay?" he asked. "I think so," I said. "I just didn't realize how much power I'd buried." By midweek, rumors were everywhere. Engineers whispering, executives dodging questions, Ethan blaming a disgruntled former employee in vague, company-wide messages. But something unexpected happened. No one bought it. Dylan texted me late Wednesday. "Dylan, he won't answer direct questions. People are recording meetings now. It's bad." Good, I thought. Not for them, for the truth. Thursday morning, my attorney called. "Vortex Solutions wants a meeting," she said. "You, me, their legal team. Ethan, too." My heart kicked hard. "When?" "San Francisco, next week." I looked down at my hands, steady now. 18 years ago, I wrote a piece of code to make a system survive. Now it was about to decide who did. By the time the meeting with Vortex was scheduled, NextCore had stopped pretending this was under control. Every day brought a new tactic. First came the polite pressure emails from legal phrase like invitations, but written like threats. Then came the aggressive ones suggesting I was interfering with an active transaction and exposing myself to liability. My attorney shut them down one by one. "You're bulletproof," she told me over the phone. "They didn't just miss a clause. They missed ownership. That's fatal." NextCore tried everything except the one thing that mattered, telling the truth. They even sent IT after me. An email arrived demanding I return proprietary development artifacts stored on an external hard drive. They framed it as theft. My attorney responded with a single paragraph explaining that my personal backups were irrelevant to the dispute. "The patent is the leverage," she wrote. "The code is just proof." They backed off within hours. Ethan, meanwhile, changed strategies. He stopped calling me and went straight for the team. Dylan called me Wednesday night, his voice tight. He gathered everyone into the big conference room today, he said. Said the merger might collapse because of legal issues with legacy code. He said if that happens, engineering could get laid off. I closed my eyes. He's using you as leverage, I said quietly. I know, Dylan whispered, but people are scared. Is anyone buying his story? A pause. Not really. He won't answer questions. Just keep saying illegal complications and former employee. People are starting to record meetings. One guy even asked him directly if NextCore owns the patent, and he dodged it. That told me everything I needed to know. Ethan was losing the room. Engineers aren't sentimental. They follow logic. And when leadership can't explain something fundamental like who owns the core technology they start documenting, I did something I hadn't planned. I emailed the engineering distribution list. Short, calm, no executives included. I can't discuss details of what's happening with the merger, but I want you to know I'm working to protect the engineering team. Don't sign anything new without reading it carefully. Back up your personal files. Document everything management says regarding this situation. That was it. Within an hour, replies started coming in. Not angry, not accusing. Relieved. Thank you for thinking about us. We knew something felt off. Ethan tried blaming you yesterday. Nobody bought it. Even the VP of engineering, the one who'd signed off on my termination, sent a cautious message. Whatever you're doing, I hope it works out for the team. It wasn't loyalty, not exactly. It was recognition. By Friday, the acquisition rumor mill was on fire. Trade blogs were circling. Analysts whispering about chain of title irregularities. That afternoon, my attorney called. Vortex's general counsel asked something interesting, she said. He wanted to know how strong your relationship is with NextCore's engineering team. What did you tell him? That you trained most of them, and that they trust you. Silence stretched between us. That's leverage too, she added. Over the weekend, Ethan tried once more. He called from a different number. Margaret, he said, no warmth left, just desperation. You're destroying everything. The board is furious. Investors are panicking. If this deal dies, the company dies. You should have checked what you own before trying to sell it, I replied. You're doing this out of spite. No, I said calmly. I'm doing this because you fired the person who knew the difference. The line went dead. Monday morning, my attorney forwarded me an email from Vortex. Subject meeting confirmation. Patent ownership discussion location. San Francisco headquarters. Attendees Vortex. Legal NextCore CEO Counsel. Patent holder. Patent holder. That was me. I packed a bag the night before the flight. Nothing fancy. Just clothes that made me feel like myself. Grounded, capable, unremarkable in the best way. Andrew hugged me at the door. Whatever happens, he said you didn't do anything wrong. I nodded. I know. But knowing and winning are two different things. And tomorrow I was walking into a room where only one of those would matter. Vortex Solutions headquarters rose out of downtown San Francisco like a monument to other people's certainty. Glass, steel, and money arranged in clean, unforgiving lines. The kind of building that made you feel small on purpose. I didn't feel small. Not anymore. The lobby smelled like expensive coffee and confidence. My attorney walked beside me, heels clicking softly against marble, a leather folder tucked under her arm, like a weapon she knew how to use. On the 32nd floor, a conference room waited. Long table, leather chairs, a wall of windows overlooking the bay. And at the far end of the table sat Ethan. He looked different. The navy suit was wrinkled. His tie sat crooked at his throat. The polished CEO mask he wore so easily in investor meetings was cracked, the strain showing through in his jaw the way his knee bounced under the table. When he saw me, his mouth tightened. Margaret, he said, not standing. The man at the head of the table, Vortex's general counsel, silver-haired and sharp-eyed, didn't look at him. Please, he said, calmly gesturing. Let's begin. No pleasantries, no small talk, just truth. Ethan spoke first, as if volume could replace facts. This is a disgruntled former employee attempting to exploit a paperwork oversight for personal gain, he said. We have comprehensive IP assignment clauses in all employment contracts. My attorney slid a document across the table. This is Miss Walsh's freelance agreement from 18 years ago, she said evenly. Section 4, subsection C, any intellectual property created on personal equipment outside billable hours remains the contractor's property unless formally assigned. She tapped the dates. Miss Walsh created the adaptive load distribution system 3 days before full-time employment began. NextCore never requested assignment, never paid for it, never acknowledged the patent existed. Silence. The general counsel read carefully, slowly. Then he looked at Ethan. Is this accurate? Ethan swallowed. It's a technicality, he said. The spirit of the agreement. The spirit of the law doesn't hold up in federal court, I said quietly. He turned toward me, anger flaring. You built this while working for NextCore. I built it at home, I replied, on my own laptop. Before you hired me. You just benefited from it. The general counsel leaned back. That explains the due diligence issue, he said calmly. The chain of title breaks here. Ethan's voice rose. This is interference. She's holding 47 jobs hostage. I leaned forward. No, I said. You did that when you tried to sell assets you didn't own. The room felt tight like a held breath. The general counsel turned to me. Miss Walsh, what do you want? It was a simple question. Direct, unemotional. I want the engineers protected, I said. Every single one of them. They built this company while Ethan took credit. They don't deserve to be collateral damage. Ethan laughed sharp and bitter. You're pretending this is all truism. People are panicking because of you. They're panicking because you won't tell them the truth. The general counsel checked his watch. Vortex is interested in this technology, he said, and we're interested in the team that understands it. Ethan stiffened. You can't bypass NextCore. We have a signed acquisition agreement. The general counsel didn't look at him. The agreement is contingent on clear title to intellectual property. NextCore cannot provide that. Section 7.3 Material Breach. Ethan's face drained of color. The deal is dead, the general counsel continued, unless we restructure it. Ethan turned to me, fear naked in his eyes. Margaret, please, name your price. I held his gaze. I'm not negotiating with you. The general counsel nodded. We'd like to discuss a direct licensing agreement with you, he said. Exclusive rights, technical oversight. Before we discuss compensation, what are your conditions? I didn't hesitate. Employment offers for NextCore's entire engineering team. Competitive salaries, benefits, equity. The CTO beside him exchanged a glance with the general counsel. That aligns with our contingency plan, he said. It will affect the licensing fee. I understand, I replied. You can take it out of my compensation. Ethan stood abruptly, his chair scraping loudly. You can't do this. I built this company. The general counsel gestured to the door. We're negotiating with the actual owner of the asset we want. Security appeared. Ethan looked at me, rage and disbelief twisting his features. This isn't over. Yes, I said quietly. It is. The door closed behind him. The room exhaled. The general counsel turned back to me. Well, he said that clarified things. And just like that, the power shifted. Once Ethan was gone, the room felt lighter. Not relieved, just honest. The general counsel folded his hands, studying me with the same careful attention he'd given the contract. I want to be clear, he said. The engineering hiring condition you requested, it was already under consideration. We're not subtracting that from your licensing compensation. I blinked. Are you sure? He nodded. Our CTO reviewed your team. They're not replaceable. And frankly, the fact that you were willing to sacrifice personal gain for them tells us exactly who we'd be working with. For the first time since the email, my chest loosened. The negotiations took 6 days. Long days. Precise days. Every clause debated, every assumption tested. My attorney fought like a surgeon, calm, meticulous, relentless. The terms were better than I'd imagined. 7-figure upfront licensing fee. Ongoing royalties tied to platform usage. Equity in Vortex. A consulting role with real authority, not a ceremonial title. But the clause I reread the most was Clause 8. Vortex Solutions agrees to extend employment offers to all 47 members of NextCore's engineering staff, including salary increases, benefits, and equity grants, effective immediately upon deal closure. My signature went on the page last. My hand shook. 18 years of work reduced to ink and paper. The news broke fast. Trade blogs, tech press, analyst whispers turning into headlines. NextCore deal collapses over IP failure. Former engineer holds key patent. Vortex secures technology hires team directly. My phone exploded. But the call I waited for came from Dylan. Margaret, he said breathless. Vortex HR just emailed us. Job offers, raises, better benefits. And it says he paused, voice thick. It says this was negotiated by you. I closed my eyes. You earned it, I said. They fired Ethan this morning, Dylan added. Security escorted him out. The board's liquidating the company. I let out a slow breath. By evening, messages poured in. Thank yous, apologies, people finally connecting the dots. Even the VP of engineering called. I should have questioned things sooner, he admitted. I'm sorry. So am I replied. But you did the right thing at the end. That night, Andrew poured us wine and raised his glass. To the woman they thought was disposable. I smiled. I wasn't disposable, I said. I was just patient. The fallout didn't drag on. It collapsed. Within 3 weeks, NextCore Solutions was a shell office furniture auctioned off. Leases terminated, investors reimbursed at pennies on the dollar. There were no dramatic press conferences, no brave statements about strategic pivots, just silence where a company used to be. Ethan didn't get a severance. The board terminated him for a material breach of his employment agreement, specifically the IP warranty clause. He lost his equity, his payout, everything he'd been bragging about for months. The golden parachute he assumed would deploy automatically never opened. I didn't celebrate. I didn't need to. Watching the engineering team land on their feet was enough. Dylan was promoted within 4 months senior developer, leading performance optimization on one of Vortex's core platforms. Others became team leads, architects, managers. People Ethan had dismissed as replaceable were suddenly visible, valued, listened to. And me, I slid into my advisory role quietly. No grand announcements, no victory laps, just meaningful work with people who understood what I'd built and why it mattered. Then 6 days after the licensing agreement closed, my attorney called with a tone I hadn't heard yet. "Margaret," she said, "do you remember your spousal support order?" My stomach tightened. "Of course." "Has Daniel remarried?" "I don't know," I said honestly. "Why?" She paused, then smiled into the phone. I could hear it. "He has. Quiet courthouse filing. New last name attached to a property deed." I sat down slowly. In California, she continued, spousal support terminates upon remarriage unless explicitly stated otherwise. Yours wasn't. The paperwork was filed that afternoon. The payments stopped. A week later, I got a voicemail from Daniel. It started with, "I've been thinking about us," and ended with, "I made a mistake." No apology, just panic. I texted back one sentence. "Please communicate through counsel." He never called again. That should have been the end of it. But closure, I learned, has a habit of asking for one last conversation. Ethan asked to meet 6 months later. The message was short, polite, almost careful. Coffee, Palo Alto, neutral ground. I didn't respond right away. Not because I was angry, not because I was scared, because I wanted to be sure I didn't need anything from him. When I realized I didn't, I agreed. The cafe was bright and impersonal, the kind of place where people pretended to work while eavesdropping on strangers' lives. I arrived early, chose a table facing the door. Ethan came in 15 minutes late. He looked smaller than I remembered. The tailored suits were gone, replaced by worn jeans and a button-down that had seen better days. His confidence, the thing that used to fill rooms before he did, was gone too. He looked like someone who'd been arguing with reality and losing. He sat across from me without asking. "Margaret," he said. "Ethan." Silence stretched. I let it. This was his meeting. "I wanted to apologize," he finally said, "for firing you like that, for blaming you, for everything." That was it. I studied his face, waiting for something deeper. Regret, accountability, understanding. None came. "Okay," I said. His brows knit together. "Okay. What do you want me to say?" I asked calmly. "You did those things." He exhaled sharply, rubbed his hands together. I lost everything he said. The company's gone. My reputation's shot. No one will fund me. No one will hire me. I'm 43 and starting from zero. "That sounds difficult," I replied. "I'm not asking for sympathy," he said quickly. "I'm asking for a second chance. You have influence now. Vortex respects you. Maybe you could." "No," I said. He stiffened. "Why not?" Because even now he didn't get it. "I don't owe you help," I said evenly, "and I don't owe you an explanation." His jaw tightened. "So you're just going to hold a grudge forever?" "I'm not holding a grudge," I said. "I'm just finished." He stood abruptly. "You think you're better than me," he snapped. "You just got lucky. One patent, one technicality." I stood too. "I filed that patent because someone smarter than both of us told me to protect my work," I said. "You thought your title meant ownership. It didn't." I turned toward the door, then paused. "Good luck with the consulting business." He didn't answer. The sun was warm outside. I breathed it in, felt the weight lift. Ethan wasn't my problem anymore. He was a lesson. 3 days later, Dylan texted me. "New project kicked off today. Vortex GC asked me to lead it. Said you recommended me." I smiled. "You earned it," I typed back. "Now build something that lasts." Because that's what this was always about. Not revenge, not money, not winning. It was about building things that mattered, protecting the people who built them with you, and understanding that respect isn't demanded, it's earned quietly over time. They fired me by email at 50, and by doing that, they handed me everything they never bothered to understand.